Whoa, jeez, that scared me. Who leaves a skeleton here? And why is it black? That's weird. Hello internet, welcome to Wifeory, the show that has a bone to pick with Minecraft lore. As you probably know by now, Minecraft is no stranger to unsolved mysteries. The game's lore and story are packed with questions that always seem to have no concrete answer, and one of these is the Nether Fortress. The fortresses are, in my opinion, one of the most vague and ambiguous mysteries in all of Minecraft. Today, we're gonna try to solve them, and maybe in the process unravel their dark and tragic history. But really quickly, if you do end up enjoying the video, then please consider subscribing. A very large percentage of people who watch these videos aren't actually subscribed, so if you do end up enjoying the video, then please subscribe. It's completely free, it means a lot to me, and you can undo it whenever you like at the press of a button. But thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy. The Nether is without a doubt the most dangerous dimension in Minecraft. It houses some of the deadliest mobs in the game and contains all the necessary materials to summon the Wither, the most horrifying and destructive mob in all of Minecraft. But it's also filled to the brim with mystery, from random fossil remains to crumbling bastions of humanoid pigs. The Nether is definitely the most mysterious dimension as well, and the Nether fortresses are no exception. These massive structures occupy large portions of land spanning hundreds of blocks over oceans of lava and plateaus of ruin. They are clearly in a state of disrepair with crumbling bridges and very simplistic design. They're also home to two unique mobs, the Blazes and the Wither skeletons, both of which cannot be found elsewhere. So all this begs the question, who made the Nether fortresses? And more importantly, why? While it's clear that the bastions are run by the piglins, the Nether fortresses do not have a concrete owner. Their two inhabitants, the Wither skeletons and Blazes, are vastly different and seem to have no real connection apart from their location. However, given what we already know about Minecraft lore, there are four candidates for the creator of the fortress: Wither skeletons, Blazes, the ancient race of Minecraft builders, and some other fourth entity such as the Endermen. To answer this question, we first have to identify the key characteristics of the fortresses. As you probably noticed, Nether fortresses are primarily made out of one block: Nether brick. This block appears nowhere else in the Nether. It is not native, however it can be made by smelting netherrack. Previously, this would have led to the obvious conclusion of overworld interference. However, because of 1.16, you can now craft furnaces out of blackstone. The fortresses being native to the Nether isn't that much of a stretch. Additionally, there's the clue provided by carved nether brick. When you carve blackstone, it reveals an image of a piglin's snout, a tribute to the creator of the bastion. And when you carve nether brick, it gives you an image of a wither's skull, as if implying the skeletons are the creators of the fortresses. But this piece of information alone isn't strong enough to prove anything. A crucial clue that points towards overworld meddling is the loot found within the fortress. Scattered around the structures are chests. These chests are full of a variety of materials such as gold, obsidian, and nether wart. Items like saddles and horse armor seem to be obvious references to the overworld, but you have to remember, we can't make those blocks either. The only way to get a saddle in the overworld is to find it in a chest. However, that is not the case for iron and diamonds. Iron and diamonds are not at all native to the Nether and can only be found in the overworld. Their appearance in the fortress seems to give us an answer. To my knowledge, there's no other way these blocks would appear in the fortress if they hadn't been brought there from the overworld. As a result, it's not that big of a stretch to assume the ancient race of builders were the creators of these structures. But now we have to tackle the harder and much more interesting question. If the ancient humans really did build the fortresses, why? What is their purpose, and what are the Wither skeletons and Blazes? To figure out why, let's take a closer look at the design of the fortress. While very big, it has practically no interior. Strongholds have libraries, jails, and portals, and igloos, while small, have a prison and a bed. But Nether fortresses have almost nothing. There are hundreds of blocks of just pathways, sprawling bridges that don't seem to go anywhere in particular, balconies and runways and quarters that that seem to go on forever with no clear purpose. But let's step back from what we don't know and let's take a look at what we do know. The fortress is one of the more simplistic structures and has 3 key elements: the lava well room, the blaze spawner room, and the nether wart room. For the life of me, I cannot understand what this first room is. The lava well room is exactly what its name entails, a massive room fitted with a singular centerpiece, a lava well. This well leads a few blocks out of the fortress, and for the life of me, I cannot understand why. In a place as lava-filled as the nether, why bother to store a bit of it in a well when you can just get it outside? Additionally, lava has no real purpose. You can use it to burn and to smelt things, but there's no clear reason as to why the ancient builders would need a whole room dedicated to a singular source of lava. This, however, isn't the case for the other 2 attractions. Nether warts can only be found in 2 different places: bastions and nether fortresses, both of which are non-natural man-made structures. This stuff isn't native to the nether either, it's some amalgamation of souls conjured up from the soul sand. But why? Well, the answer becomes a lot more clear when you consider the blaze spawners. Potions. Nether wart and blaze powder or rods are the key elements to making a working brewery. They are both essential items in the potion process, so maybe the nether fortresses were strongholds of some sort used to brew potions. The ancient builders made dedicated areas for farming nether wart and blaze powder, all in an effort to get potions. But that doesn't fully answer our question. Was this whole building just for potions? If so, why the strange corridors and bridges? And what on earth are the wither skeletons? Something is missing. Another revealing detail is the architectural design of the fortress. These things aren't grounded. They're very obviously suspended above lava and overlook a great domain below them. Their windows are barred up and gated. This connects heavily to the dictionary definition of a fortress, a military stronghold oriented around troops and defense. If you Google fortress interior, you're met with strikingly similar results to the nether version of the structure: long, winding, and simplistic corridors, barred up and gated windows, vast and stretched bridges, and the occasional square loft. The name wasn't arbitrary. These builds are not places of home. They're military bases used to defend against something. In my video on Minecraft fossils, I discussed the theory of ancient withers that used to roam the nether. Maybe these fortresses were used as a defense against the wither. This would explain their high altitude and crumbling, almost exploded looking bridges. These corridors that lead to nothing are a place to run, to escape any conflict going on outdoors. And the seemingly useless cluster of bridges is to run around, to fight any withers while having plenty of room to do so. The chests are mostly full of combat equipment, swords, armor, and saddles, all in an effort by the builders to combat their powerful enemies. But there is one more aspect of the fortresses that doesn't make any sense. One odd feature that surely has importance but is yet to be explained: the wither skeletons, and to some extent the blazes too. These creatures are native to the fortresses. They belong there for some reason or another. But what is it? The following is more rooted in speculation. I personally treat this as my own headcanon, and there's little evidence to either prove nor disprove this theory. Blazes have always been a strange mob. They're a floating head that vaguely resembles our own, surrounded by several blaze rods. Their audio files provide more questions than answers, the most profound of which is named Blaze Breathes, which would be odd enough on its own until you hear it. The noise is eerily similar to that of a human being. To me personally, it sounds like someone breathing while trapped inside a metallic box. Furthermore, the achievement description of Into Fire obtaining a blaze rod is as follows: relieve a blaze of its rod, which is an odd way of phrasing this advancement unless you're doing more than just taking. You're freeing a blaze by relieving it of the rods surrounding and imprisoning the human soul inside. Maybe blazes are the souls of ancient builders trapped in a body and farmed for energy, awaiting to be freed. In my mind, the wither skeletons succumb to a similar story. The nether fortresses are not only a place of defense, they're places of experimentation. and experiments regarding soul energy and nether wart, and potions of course. One popular hypothesis for the extinction of the ancient builder race is not the wither, but instead, a plague. A virus that turned humans into zombies. When the plague struck, nobody knew how to react. Once killed, the ancient builders would turn into zombified versions of what they once were. At the beginning, they were able to handle it. They constructed igloos, places of refuge and research where they could attempt to cure the zombification of villagers. However, this proved unsuccessful, so they fled to the Nether, a volatile and hot environment where the zombies couldn't follow them for long. They constructed massive fortresses along lava oceans, stretched upwards and suspended so that the zombies couldn't reach them. But the fortresses were not only a place of hiding, they were a research facility. A place to test the effects of potions and attempt to cure the zombification. They harvested soul sand, a block infused with the lost souls of those killed before them. Over time, through experimentation, they were able to produce some sort of fungus. Using the crimson and warped roots, they were able to make nether wart, a substance that feeds on the souls it grows in. This was just the first part though. These trapped souls were also used in conjunction with lava to construct the blazes, the spirits of living beings imprisoned within an artificial shell, surrounded by rods of inferno. They were inhumanely farmed, forced to keep respawning with their only hope to one day be released from this prison, all in the name of saving humanity. Using the newfound resources of blazes and nether wart, the builders were able to find a cure to zombification, at least of villagers. The villagers with more simple and underdeveloped brains were able to be saved. However, the same treatment would not suffice for a regular builder. Their brain was far too complex. They needed something stronger. The builders tried harder. They increased the amount of soul energy to the point where several blocks of soul sand were used for a single entity. The skeletons of prisoners, deceased builders, and volunteers were offered, their faces engraved into the walls as tribute to their sacrifice. Their bodies were charred black in wells of lava and infused with copious amounts of soul energy. The massive amounts of souls imported into the body caused them to grow, to gain the power of the wither, the power to steal life. Again, the experiment did not go as planned. The wither skeletons were silently suffering inside their heads, a place swirling with soul after soul after soul, trapped within a charred and bony body. Eventually, they gained enough sentience to take the fortress for themselves. They flushed out the builders, using their wither effect as power against their creators. In the end, the builders had to flee the Nether, relinquishing control of the fortresses to the wither skeletons and their soul counterparts, the blazes. Left with little options and a rotting world, the builders tunneled up underground, constructing the strongholds, places to live in a world that was too far gone. They had cells for zombies who they still tried to cure, but to no avail. Eventually, with their options running low, they fled to the end, and you know the rest. The fortresses were left abandoned. A cruel experiment remained unfinished. Charred, soul-filled skeletons roamed the fortress, protecting it from outsiders. Souls trapped by Inferno still continued to spawn, with no end in sight for their cycle. An inhumane, never-ending process. Truly, a terrible fortress. And that is the story of Minecraft's Nether Fortress, or at least it is in my head. There is very little evidence for and against this theory. The fortresses are just so bleak and devoid of substance, there isn't too much to go off of. But let me know what you think. Be sure to comment what you think of the video, I really do appreciate it. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing, and as always, peace out, have a good one, I'll see you next time.